if you're looking for a top-end karaoke mixer, this is going to be the one. This is the Pyle Pro PMXU128BT, featuring 12-channel input, 8 mic inputs, all dedicated with combo jacks. It also has gain controls, also PFL and mute control, along with a 7-band EQ, built-in audio interface, 16 built-in DSP special effects, and a whole bunch more. We're going to be talking about all of this and more in this video. And here we go. This is the Pyle PMXU128BT. It's their 12-channel mixer, of course. That's what we were talking about today. 8 of them are mic inputs. Then you've got 9 and 10, 11 and 12 all lined up. So this way, if you need to plug in an electric drum set or electric keyboards, you can do that, no problem. As the actual mixer comes down, let's take a closer look at what's going on with all the channels across the board. Now, like I said, the first 8 are mic inputs, but they also carry themselves as combo, which basically means I can either plug in a 3-pin XLR, because it has the 3 pinholes, or we can use a 1/4-inch jack, balanced or unbalanced, so that'll be up to you. Each channel coming down, pretty straightforward. Our red knobs across the whole board, those are gain controls. We're going to go from a -6 to a +38 or a +20 to +64, depending if we're putting in a mic or a line level to it. Turn the knob and you're all set. Then we have 3 more controls, which are our high, mid, and low for our EQ settings for this particular channel. And again, each one lines up independently with itself. This is going to have a -to +15 dB range. We'll give that a try when we do the live segment. Yellow knobs refer to our auxiliary, which will go across the entire board and exit out the actual top. Now, once we've adjusted our auxiliaries, we'll also have an auxiliary button located right at the end, which is why we have another yellow knob all by itself over here. The one on top is the auxiliary, the one below is the return for the auxiliary in case we want to use an effects. That is what's going on with our yellow knob. All the orange knobs you see across the actual unit, starting with the first one, this is our adjustment for a gain level for the effects options that are built into the unit. That's going to be on the orange knobs. That brings us all the way to this segment here, which also has orange knobs in it, and this orange slider down here. The last one is the option to have our pan left to pan right option built right in, so we can adjust our channels depending on how we want them. And then there is a small little LED light, red of course, and that's for our peak. So if we run this channel too hot, that limit light's going to come on, the peak sensor right there. We also have PFL and mute options. This is going to allow us to basically decide what we're going to have. If we go PFL, is going to be for our headphones. If I press this, this becomes a dedicated signal to here. If I press mute, I'm going to turn this channel off. So again, I don't have to play around with the knobs or levers or anything else to make this channel mute. I just hit that button there. Great feature, and I'll cover that in a little bit more details when we get all the way closer to the ends. Now that's going to cover us all the way across the entire board. Now remember, the first 8 channels are single unit channels. Then we get into paired off channels. So 9 and 10 here, 10, 11 here. We also have some old school RCA attachments. I mean, it's always nice to have something redundant built into it, so this way, regardless what you have, but this is not how I'm going to plug in any audio equipment that I want to use on the mixer. This is specifically for looping. Maybe I have a much bigger 31-band EQ that I really want to plug in. Maybe I do have an external recorder that I want to loop in and out of the actual unit. I can do that with these RCA attachments here. Most of the time, you're not going to do very much with these. They'll just be part of a special connection if you have it. There's our aux on our send, and then our return at the bottom. Again, balanced or unbalanced, depends on the equipment you have. Then you have this is amazing, sub out. This goes with this lever here. And that's not sub as a sub channel, we're talking subwoofer, 100 Hz crossover point right here to your subwoofer. You can drive that independently from your mains. Talking about the mains, that's what's going to happen right here. These 4 jacks here, we got 2 XLR main outputs, and then we have 2 1/4-inch balanced or unbalanced main outputs as well. If we go from the top all the way to the bottom now, we're going to get to all of our sliders. Sliders are nice, they're convenient, they're easy to look at a glance. If these are all set, I can tell you which ones are on or off. I do not have to stare at any of the actual knobs or buttons to determine that. They're up, they're engaged. The only buttons that we have on top of that are going to make a dramatic difference to what's going on is going to be the mute buttons, which are all the red buttons. To control the effects that we're going to want to play off this unit, we're going to have one more slider right here. That orange slider is going to be proportionate to my mains. So yes, I've adjusted all my effects across the board. Then I decide how much I want to have or not have, depending on how much I slide this on. Now remember, this is always proportionate to what's going on over here. So if I only have my main volume out set to about half, I can slide this all the way up to 0, and this will be now equal to my mains. If I have this at half, it'll be half of what's going on here. So again, if I have this all the way up at unity, this will be half as loud as that. That's how we mix that into there. Now, to EQ the room, they give you an additional 7-band EQ. So I've EQ'd everybody individually with the blue knobs here. I come over here and now I have to actually adjust the room space itself for the sound, the acoustics, anything else I want to do with it. Maybe I want a little more bass. I want to take out the mids a little bit. I want to sharpen up just something a little above the highs. I can do all of that right here. That's what this is all about. This portion of the actual unit right up here, this is our MP3, our Bluetooth, our PC audio interface. This is where the computer is going to get connected to via the USB cable. You are going to need a USB-A to USB-A cable. It's going to be a male cable. That's very important because that's how you're going to connect it. It's got one single channel running back to the computer. It's a mixed stereo signal going back to the computer, and then it has 2 audio channels coming back into here. Now to play those 2 audio channels, you're going to have a bass and treble control, regardless if we're using Bluetooth or the PC or even the MP3 player. We're going to have a high-low control for those particular channels right there, and then we're going to be able to drive that using this slider here. So even though it says 12, there's another 2 channels hiding right over here, independently from anything else. We're not sharing any of the channels. The actual PC and Bluetooth and MP3 player have its own dedicated 2-channel slider right here. Again, high-low controls for this particular channel, operated right from here. And then these 2 buttons, the bottom button is how you change the mode. How do I get to Bluetooth? How do I get to my PC? How do I get to my MP3 player? That's going to be pressing this button right here. The button above it is a built-in recorder. If I put in a plain USB stick, no flashy lights, nothing going on there, I can record on this unit. Now the only downfall to that is that you cannot actually listen to that live. There's no way for me on this machine or most machines that offer a built-in recorder like this to listen live to the recording. So you are going to have to do sampling back and forth, playback, because it's not going to be 100% lined up with what's going on here. And again, to just cover all the knobs down on the side here, the 2 yellow ones were my aux in and my aux return. Then we had our tape adjustment, so that's for this guy here. It has its own actual gain control right here. Then we have our phonos, so our headphones are right here. So here are my actual dynamic meters, and really all I need to do is engage the phantom power to get the whole thing going. So now that is actually on my channel 1. That's why you actually see the dynamic meters running right here, no problem. So that's very important because remember that is controlled right here. My sliders up, my sliders down are going to control how much power from my mixing board, in this case channel number 1 at Unity, is going to make its way out of the actual system here. So I'm trying to shoot for 0, so I appear to be a little hot, so I would turn that down a little bit, get myself in a comfortable place just like that. There we go. So we're running at Unity +2, -2. That's a nice place to be. And that's as simple as that gets when it comes to using this mixer. I know we've covered an awful lot of features and an awful lot of channels. This mixer comes in many sizes. It comes in a 4-channel, which is called a PMXU128BT. It also comes in a 6-channel, which is called a PMXU128BT. Then there's the 8-channel PMXU128BT, and of course the 12-channel, which we have here today. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over from my lapel to the actual mixing board itself so we can take a sample of the actual built-in effects. So here we are. Now we are actually on the mixer itself. So now we are actually using the PMXU128BT condenser microphone, which I have right in front of me. Very nice piece of hardware from Pyle, very popular, so I thought it's a good combination to use a regular microphone that is condenser style, of course, to do this portion of the video. I don't want to say, oh, I'm plugging in a $500 microphone and that's where all the magic's coming from. Absolutely not. This is a reasonably priced microphone doing a good job. So we do have it running into channel 1. I do have the gains up a bit, and I do have my Unity at 0, and that allows me to keep my actual main lines down to -20 dB. The important part is the effects are still off, which is really what we're doing here is we're going to test out the effects. So I have set the effect to number 2, and up on top we have a chart. The chart shows me all 16 different effects, which are mostly milliseconds. We'll get to that part, but the first few are like, Hall 1, Hall 2, Room 1, Room 2, reverb delay. Then we switch over to millisecond delays, which starts at 125 and go all the way up to 1400 milliseconds. And then we end up with ping pong delays from 800 milliseconds to 1400 milliseconds. That wraps up all those effects. It runs at 32 bits and 48 kilohertz, so it's as good as CD quality. That's the important part. So let's bring in the effects and we'll see how that sounds. That's number 2. I can turn the parameters down a bit. I can turn the effects themselves down a bit if I want. And there we go. We can have a good listen to that. That's number 2. You can adjust it the way you want. The adjustments are very subtle. There is a parameter button right here, and what that allows me to do, and I'll exaggerate it a bit for you so you can hear what's going to happen. So remember, we're on Hall number 2. So drop that. That's just Hall 2 dry, nothing else going on there really much. And then we can bring it right up, and that brings it all the way up to maximum. So that's what a parameter does. Let's go to something a little bit more entertaining than just Hall number 2. Let's try Room 2. Room number 2 is effect number 4. So that's my effect number 4 right there. We can bring that up, adjust this a little bit, and there we go. We can actually turn this down a little bit on this end here. That should be a lot better if we turn this down a little bit. So what I did there is I turned down channel 1, bring that down just enough, so this way we have a good proportion of mix to the whole thing. That's number 4. That's room size number 2. Now again, you can exaggerate the parameter, make it really big. That's a really big room. You can drop it down to a very small size room just by hitting that. Reverb and delay is the next. We'll put that there, and it happens pretty much simultaneously. Some of their mixers do have up to a 3-second delay before the effects kick in. This one kicks in about 1.5 seconds, so it's there pretty much right away. That's what's going on there. So again, different effects for different people who enjoy different things. Let's have some fun with it here. Let's go all the way up to number 15. So we'll skip all the mega delays and we'll just go to the ping pong delays. Ping pong delay works better in stereo. If you remember earlier, I said this had a single mixed channel going back to the computer, so we're not getting that left-right ping pong effect out of it. But that is a big, important effect. And important to know about ping pong is that left-right delay option built into it. So outside of that, let's talk about the last important things on here, which is the PFL and the mute. The PFL and mute are really important. It allows you to listen to and mute these particular channels. So if I have 2 people singing on stage for karaoke, let's say, or I have 2 friends singing karaoke right now and they're singing along, but I have some other people that I need to set up. What I would do is I would mute their channel so nobody's going to hear it on the mains, and I would engage the PFL so this way what I am going to hear is just these 2 microphones. I'm not going to hear any of the other mics. I'll just hear these 2 mics, and it allows me to queue up their mics so this way when it's their turn to sing, no problem. And then you just basically take their mute off, their PFL, because you don't need that anymore, and then you'll go back to the other channels and you'll turn on the PFL and turn on the mute on those channels, because then you can actually assign those to the next people who are going to sing without interrupting anybody at all. So these are handy features to have all the way down the entire board, and it's something you normally see on really expensive mixers, and it's available on this one right here. But again, these are really important features if you're using it for karaoke, or if you need to be able to mute different people at different times and listen to or queue people up as well. So very important to have all of this here. So big benefit on this mixer. Now remember, this is a really good live mixer. It doesn't have extra features like compressors on it, but it's meant for entertainment purposes, for fun. If you're looking for a mixer for your garage band or for home, or just using out and about occasionally just for fun, this is a really nice way to go. You're not going to go over the top, but you are definitely going to get all those mic inputs, because if you need to plug in things via a mic, because it's a mic you're using, you can't substitute line inputs like these guys over here as mic inputs. Just not going to happen. Your mics need to come in here via an XLR 3-pin connection, and they have to be microphones, and they have to be mic jacks. So here you go, your first 8 Very, very important. So that pretty much covers everything on it. Like I said, there are 4 different sizes of this mixer available, this being their largest in the family. Out of all the series they make, and they make about 4 or 5 different series, they're a pretty big company. This is definitely their top piece that they offer when it comes to so many features on a mixer. They do have other variations of the products. That's important to note. So you're looking for one specifically for you, but if you need something big, something with a lot of mic inputs, something easy to use and fun to use, and is actually going to work for an awful long time, you might want to take a look at the Pyle Pro PMXU128BT, because it works out for most people as a good positive thing. Well, I'm going to say thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video, and have a look for some other ones. They're always out there. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.